This is Solo in the Shop. In today's episode, I discuss Gretchen Rubin's Four Tendencies and how those may help or hinder your success running a business solo in the shop. Whether you are a hobbyist, weekend warrior, making commissions for friends and family, or already a full-time maker, if you are solo in your shop, this is the show for you. I'm Ronald Lowe's, the host of Solo in the Shop, a woodworking podcast discussing everything from current projects, tools and techniques, decisions around running a small business, and much more. So if you frequently find yourself alone and covered in sawdust, follow my journey and we can be solo in the shop together. It's crazy to me that we are in June already. This year seems to be flying by, and I'm happy to say, if you've listened to earlier episodes where I talk about goal setting, that for me, May was a banner month. A lot of sales, definitely my highest gross sale month in the year that I've been in business, and I'm getting the kind of jobs that I love. Very straightforward, but very beautiful table projects. And it's just been an incredible month for me. I've got a table on the bench right now. I've got 3 other tables lined up that are already committed, deposited, getting materials ordered. So it's very busy in my solo shop. And while I'm in the shop, I'm frequently listening to podcasts, and one of the podcasts that I enjoy mentioned Gretchen Rubin and her Four Tendencies. And that got me thinking about how does that apply in the shop? And that is kind of typical for me to listen to a podcast and think, okay, how does that fit into my life and my routine? And so I gave that some thought, and today's episode is all about my feelings about how each of the 4 tendencies could thrive or be challenged trying to run a business solo in the shop. Before I get into all of my conclusions about the 4 tendencies and working solo in a shop, I wanted to summarize what the 4 tendencies are. And for those who want to dig deeper, I'll leave a link to Gretchen Rubin's book about this in the show notes. Essentially, there are, rather than thinking about, the 5 love languages or introverts and extroverts and type A people and things like that, Gretchen Rubin's 4 tendencies look more into the way people behave and how they deal with other people's expectations. And she's classified these into 4 groups. The first is the upholders. Upholders are characterized by responding quickly to deadlines and expectations, both internal and external. So commitments that they've made to others and commitments they've made to themselves, they uphold those expectations. So then the second tendency is to be a questioner. And a questioner will fulfill their own expectations, their expectations of themselves. But when it comes to expectations from external sources, from other people, they look for justification, they ask questions, and they're driven by logic and reason. So they need a little convincing to decide whether they're going to meet those expectations. The obligers, which is the largest group, are people who respond well to outer expectations. But when it comes to inner expectations, they struggle. They look for external accountability to ensure that they meet expectations both internally and externally. A good example of this is Weight Watchers' diet program. We all know what we should be eating, what we should be doing, cutting down alcohol, living a healthy lifestyle, going to the gym. It's hard to meet those expectations, to set those goals, whether it's a New Year's resolution or just a personal weight loss and health goal. It's hard to meet those without external accountability. And that's where Weight Watchers finds their market. People will succeed when they know that other people are going to see their results, and it puts pressure. And some people need that pressure, I'm one of them, to succeed and to meet that expectation. Like I said, obligers are the majority of people. It's a very large group. And then there's the rebels. And I have to say, I still don't fully understand rebels. Their characteristic is that they resist both their inner and outer expectations and choose instead to just value freedom and self-determination. I kind of picture it as getting in the car for a road trip and having no destination. Just, we're going to drive, and when we get tired, we're going to stop, we're going to meet people, we're going to go places, but there's no real plan. We're just off on a journey, and the journey is the thing, not the goal. So those are the 4 tendencies according to Gretchen Rubin. And when I heard about these, it got me thinking, how do those tendencies affect someone's likelihood of thriving in a solo-in-the-shop environment? Now, I'm sure people with each of these tendencies could be successful in the shop. However, some are going to face serious challenges if their objective is to start a business and make furniture or make items for customers. In order of most challenging to least challenging, I think the first one to discuss is rebels. You'll recall that rebels avoid and resist both internal and external expectations. So I think that that's going to make it very challenging for that person with that tendency to hold themselves accountable and spend the time they need in the shop on a regular basis so that they can improve their own skills. And I also think that the rebel is going to struggle to meet the expectations of customers. A big part of being successful in the shop is making commitments and keeping those commitments and counting on your customers' satisfaction to help you grow. And the rebel attitude seems less likely to be successful in that area. That doesn't mean that it's impossible. I don't know for certain, but given a few discussions and listening to their woodworking podcast, I believe Eric Curtis to be a rebel tendency person. He's made comments about essentially telling customers what they want because it's what he wants to build. Not so much as, somebody wants a credenza and he says, no, you're going to get a desk. But he's established himself enough to say, if you want a credenza, just tell me the rough dimensions and I'll make you a beautiful credenza and I'll build it when I can. And so there's a lot of avoiding the expectations. It's avoiding the final design. It's avoiding the deadline. And that allows him to have a lot of freedom when it comes to artistic expression, design, and how much time he spent and how much time he'll spend in the shop working on it and when he'll start. So that isn't going to work for everyone. Eric is lucky enough to have established a reputation where if you're going to order a piece from him, you know his quality and his style, and you want an Eric Curtis original in your home, so you're willing to accommodate the rebel tendencies. We don't all have that, and I'm sure it took a fair amount of work to get to that level to be successful and have your commission work flexible enough that you can work that way. Moving up from rebels, we're going to talk about obligers and how they might fare as solo woodworkers. The obligers are a mix of doing well meeting outside requirements, but struggle to meet their own internal pressures without external accountability. I can relate. This is definitely my group. And I'll say that I've built into my process external obligations. And I make sure to tell clients that as work continues, as things happen, I will send updates with photos. And that is my way of ensuring that I am progressing on each of these projects in a way that the customer understands what's happening, and it keeps me focused on moving forward. So the obligers are very good at meeting external expectations. So the solo woodworker that's an obliger is going to do very well day to day, getting in the shop, knowing that they have commitments to commission clients that need to be fulfilled, and they're going to work, and get that done. The conflict comes when there are external, outside obligations that require some discipline by the woodworker to spend time on that. And that means, for example, I have bookkeeping, marketing, website development, and other tasks that aren't in the shop that I know the more time I spend on those, the more successful I'll be, and that they're a necessary part of having a solo entrepreneur business. But there's no accountability for that. There's no one saying, hey, I notice you haven't updated your website in 2 weeks, or I notice your social media posts are falling off. And it's those kind of things that the obliger will struggle with because there's no external accountability for that type of activity. Certainly not fatal to your business, but it's the area where the obliger is going to struggle. Is any aspect of the business where there isn't a client or some other outside authority that's requiring you to meet a deadline or an expectation. We're halfway through the list. The next group I want to talk about are the upholders, who are well suited for working solo in the shop because they respond well to both internal and external obligations. That means that they're going to be able to handle the requirements set down by not only customers, but accountants, the IRS, their social media presence. They will be able to handle all the deadlines, both for customers and for everything else that goes into running a solo business. They have routines built into their schedule, into their daily lives that will get them in the shop and then back out of the shop, in front of the computer, and on to the next thing. And they multitask well, and they're going to meet all of those obligations. A great formula for success as a solo woodworker. They don't need external pressure to make sure that they stay focused. It is just innate in them to focus on each thing that needs to be done, get it done, and move on. The last group, and the group that I believe are best suited to running a business solo in their shop, are the questioners. They have a very analytical nature, and they have an internal motivation to meet their own expectations. They set goals for themselves, they have a plan, they reach those goals. Their questioning nature comes in when it's somebody else's goal, somebody else's commitment to them, whether it's social media, accounting, marketing, or even a customer's design request. They're going to question that. They're going to say, are you sure this is things that you should be considering when it comes to this particular piece? So the questioner may inadvertently create delays by asking questions and maybe drawing out the design phase. But once it's set, now that objective becomes an internal expectation, and the questioner is going to crush it. Questioning also applies to the process and efficiency. And so a questioner is going to be continually improving both how they work and the systems that they use and finding a better way. And so there's going to be not just meeting expectations, but this continual improvement that over time makes them a superior choice for running a small business. Those are my thoughts on the four tendencies and how they apply to being solo in the shop. I'll leave a link in the show notes for the book and the quiz so that you can determine which of the four tendencies you have. Obviously, I believe that if the dusty wood shop is your happy place, that's where you should be. Pursue your passion. But I do think that knowing which of the four tendencies you possess can inform decisions and expectations and help you understand why you are the way you are and how that fits with running a business out of your shop. That's what I have for you today. I look forward to talking to you again soon. If you have questions, comments, or suggestions for future episodes, feel free to reach out to me at SoloInTheShop@gmail.com. Thank you for listening to today's episode. If you got value from it and would like to help the show grow, I'd appreciate a review wherever you listen. Be sure to check the show notes for links to my socials or any extra stuff we discussed today. Until next time, stay safe in your shop, and we'll talk again soon.